Another Canada Immigration Live Q&A. I'm here, Mark Holthe, immigration lawyer, with my faithful compadre, Alicia Backman-Bahari. How are you, Alicia?
I'm doing well. It's summer now, Mark, so we've
Yes, it
switched
is.
over to the new season.
Yes, we have officially. And we'll remember back last year when this fine fellow right here said we will be doing targeted draws in the spring of 2023. It is now June 22nd, Minister, and we are yet to see those draws. Now, we'll wait a little bit because we do have some advancement that we want to share with everybody in terms of the progress of these targeted draws. I think many people realize at this stage, we'll just slide over here while we're waiting for people to connect in. Now they have more information that is listed on the actual Rounds of Invitations website that talks about the draws and what they'll look like. We know that there's going to be the general rounds, like the no program specified draw that we had just recently. So the most recent one we had was, you can see here, a no program specified. So technically, I guess that could be considered kind of general. Then there's program specific rounds. We've had one FSW, we've had CEC, we've had P&P. We've even in the past had federal skilled trade draws. But at this stage, that's the program specific rounds. And then of course, these magical ones right here. So we'll see what happens today. As of today, there was no draw yesterday. We have not yet seen a draw today. We'll monitor this as we go forward. But it is June the 22nd, and this is the first day of summer. And I enjoyed a wonderful evening of fishing on the river last night with a good friend, enjoying what I think is the longest day of the year yesterday. Mm-hmm. So it's all downhill from here, but at least it's going to be warm downhills. So, all right. So let's, we've got a couple people connecting in. Please, as always, you guys, let us know where you're tuning in from. So post comments and give us a shout out. Yeah, other than that, Alicia, we'll wait just a few more minutes because this is, understanding where the government's going and how close they are to what's happening is indicative by an email that you received, an invitation, and something that we're gonna share in a little bit from that you received from IRCC, Alicia. But yes, let's jump in and let's just do a couple little shout outs here while we're waiting for the last of the people to connect in. So If Tech, good to see you. And he's tuning in on YouTube. We've got Ulu, who is watching from Ottawa on Facebook. Thanks for connecting in. I just have to tell you guys to say hello, and then you start posting all of your comments. Good to see you, Sandanga from Calgary. Love the flag. And we've got Tusher, who's over in Niagara Falls on LinkedIn. So we got full representation here. LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. Natalie's over in Ontario. Welcome, Natalie. Good to see you here. Ayesha as well. Hello to you. Pierrette is watching from London, UK. And Alex, good to see you as well. We've got Thales, who is connecting in from Brazil. Hola, ¿cómo está? We've got a bunch of other people. Good to see you, Mohammed, as well. And so thanks for giving us a little bit of notification. I love to see that there's live human beings actually watching this. So that's always effective. And Alex, good to see you watching from British Columbia and flying to Canada. Hello to both of to you back. All right. Okay, so let's share what we're talking about. I'm going to flip my screen around here again. And this comes back to the targeted draw discussion. So give me 1 second here. I am the technical director as well as everything else here. And this is the notification that Alicia received. I wonder if I can enlarge this. Let's see. Give me a second here. Oh, I can. Look at that. All right. So this is an email that Alicia received. When did you get this? Just today? No, you forwarded this to me today. Or did you receive it today? Oh, Alicia, are you frozen? Oh, Alicia is frozen. That's why. Okay, well, we'll wait for Alicia to connect in. For some reason, she got locked out and she got frozen. But at least she's got a nice smiley face. She'll come back and join us in a second here. And Rafiq here says, tuning in from Morocco. Nice work from both of you. Thanks for all your clarification. Well, we're going to clarify something else hot off the press, which I don't think anybody has shared to this point. This is an indication of how close we are to actually receiving the very first round of invitation for category-based draws. So you can see here that it's directed to Alicia. And IRCC recently announced the implementation of category-based selection and express entry, a new way of selecting candidates through the online system that IRCC uses to manage immigration applications from skilled workers. We are now pleased to offer, and yes, folks, we will be attending this, a new virtual learning session for employers who wish to learn how category-based selection works. Alicia's connecting in here. We're going to pull her back. Okay. Here we go. Okay, she's back. We're just talking about this, Alicia. It's all good. But your frame, it didn't have a weird face. Sometimes you get like crazy faces when your frame freezes when you get lost. But you're back and good. So you had a nice pleasant smile, but you weren't moving. And I was like, Alicia, are you there?
This is why I have two entirely separate redundant internet providers. Yes.
You can just flip over and we're back. So I just opened this up. I'm not sure, what time did you receive the original one? I can't remember. 11:01. So just, you guys, this is like just over an hour ago, this email went out. So essentially, like I said, this is directed. They're now offering new virtual learning sessions for employers who wish to learn how category-based selection works in express entry, including eligibility and occupations for 2023. So when you, let's see here. Okay, I can see what you're saying here. We're kind of stuck. So, so basically, if we zip through this quick, you can see that they've invited employers to participate in this, and they have various days that are available to connect in. And so, yeah, so we that email came through, and we will definitely be there attending, and we've shared it with all of our employers that are affected by this. All of our employers through the Federal Skilled Worker Program, the International Mobility Program, and definitely we'll be there with them, and we will share everything that we learn. So if they're having information sessions that are starting on June 27th next Tuesday, they have them in English and French, the 27th, 28th, 5th, and 6th. We will definitely be there and report back on what we learned. Could they do it before that? Could they actually jump in and start doing, targeted draws before then? Well, I think it's possible. And these are just designed to help people understand what's going on, but we'll just have to see how it all plays out. All right. So we wanted to share that with you. So once again, getting closer, at least theoretically. I also want to share one other thing, and I'm just going to flip back. This is going to be a little weird here if this works. It doesn't quite work. We're close. Just give me 1 second, and let's flip it to the proper. Oh my goodness. Here we go. This is what it's like, you guys. Oh, there we go. I want to share one thing if you guys have not yet had a chance. Many people ask about rural northern immigration programs, and there's a lot of mystery about them. People are not quite sure how they work or how you get a community designation. How do you get a job? Well, Brady Schnell of the Claresholm RNIP came and joined me last night, and this was absolutely awesome. And I'll be honest, it is a crime that only 520 people have viewed this. Because if you are outside Canada, I want to share something with you that he shared that I had not thought about. They actually are starting to like people immigrating through the RNIP directly from outside Canada more than they like people who are already here working in Canada. And I don't know, Alicia, if you've got any thoughts on why you think that may be. I'm not sure if you attended, but what are your thoughts? Can you figure out why Brady, and I'll break the news after, but I'm just curious from your perspective, because it really changed my thoughts on this. I always thought, hey, if someone's working in your community and they're already there, well, they're going to be probably the best candidates, right? Especially post-grad work permit holders who go to school in Calgary and then move down to Claresholm to take a job. Normally I would think that would be the best candidate, but that wasn't necessarily the case. Why do you think, Alicia? Can you think of any reason why they would like someone who had no connection with Claresholm at all?
Well, I know that one of the things that surprised me, because you and I had actually gone down to Claire's homework last fall,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and we attended an in-person session with the community and IRCC. So it was interesting to hear that one of the reasons that candidates sometimes get tripped up is by having too high of a skill level to be coming across to a different knock. And so that was something that they had found out the hard way on an application where the client had actually um, their skills were too high at their work in Canada. And so when they slid over to the new RNIP designation, that became a potential disqualifier. And so that was something that surprised them. And, it's something to reiterate again that
Yeah.
you've got to be really careful in those not categories, what you've had as prior experience, and then what you're going to be claiming under the RNIP. So maybe that was one of the
Yep.
factors.
Yeah, that plays a role. Absolutely. Because some individuals, it can literally get your application rejected if there isn't a proper match. But here's the thing, Alicia, in their experience over the last, 2-3 years, he said that they're about 50% with individuals in Canada that are working and go through the program versus individuals that come in from overseas. And he said, in reality, individuals that have already lived in Calgary and other locations, as soon as they get their permanent residence, leave and move back. Whereas individuals who come into Claresholm as their first interaction with Canada, they immediately start to build connections, relationships, friendships, get involved in the community. And this is the Canada that they know. They also do look at candidates that have lived in rural settings, and in fairness, a rural, city in Pakistan might be 100,000 people like Lethbridge, right? Whereas here, 2,000-3,000 community, and then the surrounding agricultural area maybe is about 10,000. They look for candidates that are like that. But I was very, very surprised to hear that they really do like people who have had no connection with Canada when they're bringing them in. And it really opened my eyes. So all of you who are listening, RNIPs are real. Like they're a real possibility if you're outside of Canada. But the main difference, and this is what Brady identified, is that it's still an employer-driven process. You have to find a way to make a connection. And he shared an example, and I don't want to give away all of the good parts of the video because I recommend that you guys watch it. But he said that there was a Jamaican individual who had literally called one of the restaurants, and all these employers received tons of resumes, but he'd gotten a number and talked and made an impression on the phone, and they, he just got his permanent residence just approved just the other day and is planning to travel. And you have to find a way to distinguish yourself. He said the power of your application is a resume, a Canadian resume, no more than 2 pages. And it's really that process. And they no longer use their applicant portal. Now it's all based on individuals and resumes and local employers. So I just wanted to share that, but definitely you guys, you want to make sure you slide over and watch this video if you have not, because it's very, very eye-opening. And although the programs are not identical, each community has their own focuses. For communities like Claresholm, where many of them were service, restaurants and hospitality and, things like that, the odd truck driver position. There was a very, very broad spectrum of candidates that they had given community designations to. So very interesting, very, very interesting. Okay, today, guys, we're going to zip through this a little bit quicker because I have a commitment. And so we're going to probably end just a little after 12:30 today. So we're going to go fast and furious through the questions. I do want to point out that on Monday, the masterclass starts for the Canadian Immigration Institute's latest offering of the Express Entry DIY course. And so I just want to let you know the link is in the description below. So when you slide over, it'll take you right here to our Express Entry course. And the master classes start June 26th to the 29th. So if you have not registered, do that now because this little course is awesome. And on top of it, you get a look at my ugly face for 4 hours, 4 straight days. And it's a great, great resource. And as always, because I know we're going to be running slow, all you have to do is go to holthelaw.com, just like that. And when you do that, it'll take you right to our website. And the brilliance of Alicia is available just by clicking on Speak to a Lawyer and then booking a consult with her. and she can walk you through any aspect of the express entry process, or the list of areas that she focuses on are all listed here, and you can check it out. All right. So I wanted to give those little bits of information. And remember, as always, our resources, blogs, the podcast. Alicia and I think a new podcast episode just dropped just this morning, I think. Let's see. Yes, it is. Business Immigration Supporting a Foreign Worker for Permanent Residence. So this is great for employers and all of you who are individuals. So we talk about a lot of different things in here. So go check that episode of the podcast out. You can watch it on or listen to it on Spotify or on iTunes, or wherever you listen to podcasts. All right.
And Mark, I did want to jump in and just remind people, because the deadline's coming up, about those post-grad work permit extensions, which are not really extensions, but it's the 18-month. If you had a PGWP in the past and you're eligible for the new program, the opt-in deadline, be careful about it, is coming up for June 28th. And so that's when you can no longer opt in if you're eligible for that opt-in procedure. However, do make sure that if something has gone wrong, there's been glitches in the system, that you go and you do an actual proper application for that 18-month PGWP open work permit public policy. So be really careful about that. Keep in mind the deadline's coming up June 28th.
Excellent. And I can't help but pull up Talis here. Thank you very much, my friend. He says, taking the course, bought it last week. It's great. I recommend it to everyone here. And I will see you on Monday. Hopefully you can join me in the master classes. Okay. Let's jump to our first question. This one's from Rafik. And Rafik says, FSW Outland, how to explain the fact that UCI is not updated since January. AOR bio and medical is not yet passed. Only criminality on progress. Can't use the tracker to follow my application. Okay. We can't. It's a freaking disaster. I was updating a profile this morning. It timed out like 10 times while I was going through it. It's because it's a piece of junk. And how do we explain? Well, it's a complete debacle, and the department, and I can't help it, but come on, minister, you can do better. We had these discussions like 3 years ago. You have millions of dollars at your disposal to fix it. So please don't leave individuals like Rafik here blowing in the wind, twisting in the wind. There has to be a solution. Fire all of your software developers, all of the companies that you've hired to do it, no matter how much they're contributing to the Liberal Party. Please terminate those relationships and absolutely get someone else to do it, because this is just a gong show. Alicia's like cringing.
I mean, it is very frustrating that their systems are not working, right? The portals have been slow. The login for the employer portal has not been working. Trying to file applications has been a nightmare. Things are timing out. Things are, it's taking 3 minutes to load, click, 3 minutes to load, click, and then it says you're not logged in, and then you start all over again. So this is super frustrating. They haven't been able to properly link applications for their trackers. And there was an article just recently in making, national news about the fact that they know that the web form is completely inundated, and they've known this is an issue because nobody has a way to actually track their applications properly. And so of course the web form's inundated. Yeah,
absolutely. Okay, next up on our list here is David, and David Bonilla says, "Good afternoon. If I want Ontario to invite me in one of the EE nominations, should I choose only Ontario in my EE profile, or could I select all? Thank you." And just before you answer that, I want to do one of these, because David, that is an excellent, excellent question. So, Alicia, what do you think?
So, David, normally we recommend that people say select all, right? Because you're going to maximize the potential chances that you have of getting a nomination from one of the provinces. If you are living in Ontario and you really want to be in Ontario, then if you do get a nomination from Ontario, of course you have an obligation to prove your intent to live in Ontario. But in the meanwhile, you can say select all, and that will give all of the provinces access to see your particular details.
And the most important part, David, is that the provinces don't see all the other places that you've said you're interested in. So if you select all, Ontario doesn't see that you've also selected the best province, which is Alberta. They just see that you've expressed an interest in Ontario. So there's no circumstance that I'm aware of that anyone would put anything other than that. And obviously, even if you intend to live in Ontario, and that's where you want to be, you can. There's nothing stopping you from just saying, I won't even consider an invitation from another province. I'm only going to live here. Then put Ontario. But ultimately, just know that the provinces only see if you've selected them and not all the other provinces. At least that was what was told to me by a PNP program director a few years back. Okay, Mohammed says, hey, Mark, hey, Alicia, I wonder if 10 hours per week work for 18 months would be considered as 6 months a full-time job for selected draws. This gets down to the targeted draws and the fact that 6 months of experience may be enough to get pulled into those areas of work experience. So it doesn't speak as to whether or not this would be eligibility for the purposes of, one of the programs, but what do you think?
Yeah. So we actually have developed a tool, an hours of work tracker. And so part of the Express Entry course and what we use when you hire us is to do basically a calculation for all of your hours. And it becomes tricky because immigration doesn't say whether they're using weeks or hours or months or estimates of months. And so we will look at all of them. So I always tell people, go back, take a look at your pay stubs, line them up and put down exactly how many hours you work, how many weeks you work, and then how many months you work, and always round down. Because for sure you can't claim anything over 30 hours in any given week, but it's unclear from immigration policy wise whether they count 15 hours as, hopefully they do count it as a half week. But if you were working 20 hours, would that count as a little bit more? Maybe it only counts as half a week. So if you're working 10 hours, make sure that you're logging those hours, checking the number of weeks you are working. You can't, of course, claim any time where you were on a leave of absence or unpaid work, but try to line that up and do your best to do a really solid calculation with your pay stubs.
All right. Rat says, hey, Mark and Alicia, I have 108 points according to BCP&P points calculator and CRS of 450, lost due to age. Yeah, that happens a lot. Do you think this is enough to get an invitation? Thanks a lot. So,
Yeah, and I mean, these are pretty specific questions, so it's
yeah.
difficult to try to give an opinion, but take a look at the BCPNP. If you go to the updates, it'll give you a list of which BCPNP programs have been drawn and what the minimum CRS was for that round, or minimum points, sorry, under the BCPNP program were. So you can see in here, June 20th was the last one. It was under skilled worker international grad, 107 nominations. The minimum score was 90 for that program. And then also they had a whole bunch more on the same day under different programs. Yeah. So they do fairly regular draws, and you can kind of get an idea based on where you are here. Of course, there's certain programs where you're going to have better chances if it's one of like the healthcare occupations that where they have a kind of an emphasis on making sure that they want to try to target those draws because they know that they have a need for workers in those areas. So it does depend on your work experience, whether you can actually prove that you're outside of the greater Vancouver area. Those things also weigh in favor.
Yes. And you can see here from the question, I have 108 points. We assume that this is probably, you're kind of looking in more of the general draw, right? And so is it possible? Well, it might be possible, but there's a whole bunch of other factors at play, and you can see the different minimum scores that were required. So it just, it fluctuates. Each province has their own method of selecting. And for most provinces, the one thing I want to point out to people is that provinces have clued in now that if they are doing any kind of a round of invitation or creating any new program or stream, they always put a disclaimer, unlike IRCC, that says we can choose to nominate you whether you meet our eligibility or not. We have complete flexibility in doing so. You're not guaranteed to get a result, even if you meet the eligibility. So they retain, they're creatures of policy. They have the ability to do whatever they want. There was a time when some provinces like Alberta got themselves into a little bit of trouble because they didn't have that disclaimer. And then they opened up programs that were way oversubscribed, like a family program they had, and an H-1B for US H-1B holders. So all of these things played in. But Rats, guess what I'm going to tell you? It's this right here. Book a consult and we can take a look and help you strategize. All right. Okay. Sneha says, working remotely for an employer in India. I'm in Canada in open work permit. Have 2 full-time jobs. Don't want to claim points for one in Canada, since it's not field related? Can I claim points under FSW for the other one? So this is one, Alicia, that I don't know if I have an answer for Sneha. She's basically saying, and can I claim, well, really, is it possible to claim both? She says, I'm not claiming both because I think before I answered and I said, I'd be really careful because they don't count more than 30 hours. And so would they allow you to count Canadian work experience and foreign work experience at the same time? There's no specific rule that says you can't do that. But, you know, I don't know what your thoughts are, Alicia, but I don't know if I have an answer as to, you know, obviously if you're claiming points, Sneha, you just don't put the Canadian work experience in your work history, right? Then it's not going to calculate it. But what is the impact if you have two full-time jobs at the same time, one in Canada and one outside of Canada? Any thoughts on that?
I mean, you still need to meet all the requirements for foreign skilled work, right? And
Yep.
so you'd need to make sure that you've got a properly registered foreign employer, or that you're getting paid in foreign currency, probably to a foreign account, and that you're properly remitting taxes and you can prove that it's high skilled work. But you know, it certainly does complicate things because most people want to claim the Canadian work experience to get eligibility for CEC, and be able to look at those bonus points. So maybe it's fairly unusual.
Yeah, it is. Okay, next question here. Sheeta says, is the right of permanent residence fee required? Does right does it require a sign that PR will be approved? Oh, is a right of permanent resident fee request a sign that PR will be approved? Got after 2 months in CEC, paid work ago, but no updates. Oh, paid a week ago, but no updates on the file yet. Okay, yeah. Yeah, this is actually normal. Yeah, Alicia, you want to tackle this?
Yeah. So I'm assuming that you're looking at a sponsorship of some sort. Normally, you would try to file both the application fee and the right of permanent residence fee at the same time. I normally recommend that to people because it doesn't slow down the processing of your file. So if you've only paid the application fee up front and then you wait to get the notification that they want you to pay the right of landing fee, then it slows down the processing until they actually see that in their system, and then they can continue to process. So hopefully it means that eligibility has been passed, but it doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be an approval soon, depending on their background clearance and security checks. So those are the things that normally could drag on. Also, depending on the validity date of your medical exams and your police certificate. So those are also things to consider.
Yeah. And I do want to also point out for everyone that CCs are coming fast and furious. So I was just going through some of our Google reviews and Nicola here just 6 days ago. You can see here what she indicated. So they submitted their EAPR application May 1st of 2023, you guys. And on June 7th, this is a month, they were confirmed as permanent residents of Canada. Now, of course, it was because they took the course and booked consults with myself and Alicia, and Prem, our intake person, was so awesome. But the reality, what I'm trying to get at here with the reviews is that that CEC is going really fast in some cases. So it's not unusual for you to get that if you didn't pay your right of permanent residence fee up front to get that request. And yeah, and then the back end, it may take time to do that. You know, that just depends. So. All right, next question is from Ulu. And Ulu says, shall I include a CV for me and my spouse in the client information section for my application? Will not including it have any impact on my application? I'm assuming this is an EAPR. It could be a spousal, but I could be, sorry, a study permit. But what, do you see any reason for someone to include, Alicia, a CV in their express entry application?
I think it is express entry. And sorry, on the last one, I did see they said
Oh, it does say
CEC too. But
EE. That's right. Yeah.
yeah.
So no. No. I think Alicia froze again. Okay, I'll jump in and I'll answer this. We'll see. Hopefully, maybe she'll come back. So basically, yes, this is express entry, Ulu, and no, I don't see any reason to include a CV for you and your spouse in the client information section. Your reference letters are the things that really carry the weight, and reference letters, pay slips, you know, tax confirmations like T4s. Those are things that I would include. Okay. All right. Olu says, where should I include my language test certificates in my EAPR? It is not included in the generic document checklist. Great question. And of course, that is something that I teach in the course. I always include my language test results. I put them with the education. So in my education documents, where I include my degrees, diplomas, transcripts, I also include the ECA, the Educational Credential Assessment, which is also not requested, as well as, and I'll just flip over here to me here, as well as I also include the language test results in there. So that, Olu, that is where I put it. I put it right in with my education documents. Okay. Tally says, can we expect something different, such as other knocks? Well, possibly. We know that the minister, and I think you're talking about this, the targeted draws, they can come in, 3 forms. So the minister has powers to do anything that he wants, but he did indicate that the industries that he selected for this year, they're going to try to maintain within just those industries for consistency and predictability. So it's unlikely that they would just pull some strange knock out of the hat, but the minister has power to do that. Okay, let's see what's next here. Samantha, Jamaica in the house. I don't think I have any good Jamaica music. I don't think so. I was looking at my music, and let's see, what's this one? Nope. Well, kind of. Is that kind of Jamaica? I don't know. Okay, Samantha, that's for you. Fun. Okay, and then we've got some nice hearts there. Okay, let's see. Versify says, hello, thanks. Please, my study permit extension in Canada has taken 3 months now. Anything I can do to speed up because I need to travel? Also, can I enter Express Entry Pool while waiting? Yes, you can enter the Express Entry Pool at any time. There's no problems with that. But as far as expediting, good luck. There is no way in this situation, everybody is treated equally badly. Okay. Yes, it seems the e-draws for this week is delayed or canceled. Well, not that they're scheduled. They just release them. So it's not a matter of canceling. Let's see here. Next, Ulu says, same for my CELPIP certificate. Shall I include it? Yes. Include the language test in the client information section. Absolutely. Good questions, you guys. Okay. Taranjit says, for personal history, if I am employed till the 15th of June and next job starts July 1st, do we need to show 15 days of unemployment in the personal history as it is month and not date? Taranjit, that is exactly what I teach my clients in my course and what we do for ours. If there's a gap in there, even though the personal history is month by month, what I do is I will create a separate entry that starts in June and ends in July. Well, if the next job starts in July, then I would just have from June to June as unemployed. That's what I would do. Okay. Talis is talking about the e-course. I bought it last week. Oh yeah, I already showed that one, Talis. Yes. Hi once again, Saab number 5. Okay. Okay. Olu says, you no longer post your podcasts on YouTube. I'm interested to listen to the last topic you mentioned you were going to treat to yesterday. Okay. So Olu, that was the actual, so as far as the podcast, I talked about the RNIP. Okay. I talked about that, and we are in the process of releasing that as a podcast episode, but let me just share my screen here. Over here, if we go to the YouTube channel, you will see that I actually ended up doing it as a live stream last night and with the Rural Northern Immigration Pilot. So all you have to do is go to YouTube, and it's this video right here. It will also be moved over to become a blog, an episode of the Canadian Immigration Podcast as well. And so watch for episode 115 to drop here. And like I said, if you want to watch it, you can watch it here and on Spotify. And like I said, the actual video is right here. So go check that out. No shortage of help we're offering here for you guys. No shortage. Okay, let's see what's next. It looks like Alicia has disappeared into the sunset. That's okay. Sometimes internet works, sometimes it doesn't. We're going to go just a little bit more, and then I'm going to wrap up here. Probably a couple more questions, and then we'll wrap it up. I don't think we have any supers. No, we don't. Okay, a couple more questions, and then we'll end it for today, guys. It's going to be a little bit shorter, but I have another commitment that I have to get to. Okay. Okay. Anne says, will processing for will processing for ECA in advance, example through ICAS, for immigration as the purpose, prior to lodging for study permit be considered as dual intent? Does it need declaration in the statement of purpose? Thank you. No. Don't worry about educational credential assessments. You can request those at any time. They're valid for 5 years, right? And so, and then applying for a study permit, no, it's not going to impact. That won't. What tends to become an issue is if you actually submit your profile in the pool. Then an officer has the ability to kind of take it into consideration. Now, they can't refuse your express entry application just because you submitted a profile. They have to, I shouldn't say they can't refuse your study permit application just because you have a profile submitted, but they do take a lot of things into consideration. And as a study permit applicant, you need to demonstrate temporary intent. Okay, Taranjeet says, will my work experience gained on implied? This is actually a really good question. I am going to give you one of these applauses. Okay, Taranjeet says, will my work experience gained on implied status count if my work permit extension gets rejected? Yes, it will. It's valid work all the way through till a decision is made. All right. Oh, you guys, now someone threw a super in there. Okay, flying. You know what, flying? You need to pay more. Okay. Okay, I see a super chat here, but I don't see any questions. So post your question quick, flying, because I have to wrap it up. Okay, let's see. Next question. Okay, is it in here now? Okay, a few questions from my side, please. Not a few questions. You can ask one question, post the one question, and then I have to jump off. Can I have your channel name to subscribe? This LinkedIn user says. Okay, the channel name is the Canadian Immigration Institute. Let me slide over and I'll show you while flying is posting one question I'll answer. So if you see here, it's the Canadian Immigration Institute YouTube channel right here. And that's where you can, we'll click on here, right here. So that's the Canadian Immigration Institute. Okay. And yeah. And then you can connect in, and remember on LinkedIn, this actually, the RNIP also went live on LinkedIn. So you can also find it on LinkedIn. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's see what we have. Just a couple more questions, then we're going to wrap it up. Okay. Uday says, my CRS points currently at 478, but if I add my wife's bachelor's degree, Alicia says that, Shaw went down entirely. Telus seems to be having VPN issues. I restored my computer, but are you wrapping up? Yeah, no worries. No worries. I'm wrapping up. We'll just send that to Alicia. Oh, she's connecting in. Okay, we'll bring her in. It's all good. We're just about wrapping up here, Alicia. So I'm just answering one more question, then I'm waiting for one more super from flying here. So, flying to Canada stuck in the sky. That's hilarious. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Let's go back here. Okay. Hello, both of you. My CRS points currently at 478, but if I add my wife's bachelor's degree, then it will be 496, but she have not received the degree yet. Should I add her bachelor info in the profile? No.
If she hasn't actually completed her degree, then no. I mean, you could add it in her personal history, but this is when you're creating the profile stage. You can only claim your wife's education if she's actually completed the degree. So make sure that you wait until she's actually graduated.
Yeah. Okay, and here's Flying to Canada's question. I'm in the EE pool. Can I apply for a visitor visa? Meanwhile, does it affect the EE process? So this is dual intent stuff.
Yeah, so it doesn't affect your express entry process, but it could affect your visitor visa. And so this is where you just have to be able to prove that you have a dual intent. Under Section 22 of the Act, you've got to be able to prove that you can have a temporary intent. So you have enough ties to your home country that you can prove that you would go back there and comply with your immigration conditions. And at the same time, acknowledge that you do have that express entry profile, right? Don't try to hide it. They'll know that it's there. Just speak to it directly and deal with it head on and say, here is why I have temporary intent. Here are my connections to my home country. And yes, I did create an express entry profile also.
Perfect. All right. Well, Alicia, we're going to wrap it up there for today. Thanks for popping back in. Yeah, it was a good one. So remember, you guys, that we're here to help. We are immigration lawyers. If you have questions, if you have issues, if you have challenges, we're here. If you don't have, challenges, we're also here, and we can help to streamline the process for you and walk you through the whole express entry process and virtually all kinds of different immigration things that you have trouble with: spousal sponsorships, other permanent residents, study permits, all those kinds of things. We're here to help. And all you need to do is slide over to our firm website. And I'll just share this with you again. You can click here to subscribe to our newsletter, which we should be releasing a new newsletter update this week. But all you need to do, there's tons of resources and information here on our site. Click on Speak to a Lawyer and you'll be able to book a consult. Super easy. Go here, click on 25-minute consult with Alicia, and you will see that it pops up for the next one available is next week at 1:30. But Alicia has availability all next week if you guys have any questions. All right. Okay, I think that's good for today. I've got to run. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We really appreciate it. And we'll see what happens with these crazy targeted draws and what the minister is going to do with the whole world of express entry. So, Minister?
Stay tuned because we're going to bring you the newest news as soon as we hear it.
We will. All right. Take care, everybody. See you later.